Jamie Mixon Cure, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Jay.
Yeah, me and Courtney are excited. Courtney Fricky, of course, we do these real estate episodes with Courtney. And before we get into too much detail in the weeds, I just wanted to tell people more about you, who you are and what you've done. So you got a lot of things you got your hands in when it comes to real estate, which I think is impressive from investing, so just being a real estate agent, having a team, and then having your design company. So out of all the things that you do, what's the most exciting thing and the funnest part of the job right now, I guess, for you?
Right now, honestly, the interior design new business is only because it's been something since I was a little girl that I've always wanted to do. And it was kind of why I even ventured into the real estate world 12 years ago.
Yeah.
So to see that I'm finally getting to mix the two together and do them is exciting.
Yeah. So as you've kind of gone through your real estate career, you've done a lot of stuff, right? You at one point, I think right when I met you, you were not even here. You were traveling with your husband in the RV that y'all bought and renovated and flipped that. So you've always had your own little spin on everything you've done. So, you know, what as a kid, what kind of got you inspired to do that?
I don't know. I remember I just always rearranged my room in the house. Every week I was rearranging my bedroom or the house. And my mom or my nanny would come home and be like, "What are you doing?" Like, I just got bored with it, or I'd see it better in a different light, like it in a different way. I was hanging wallpaper at like 12 and 13 and removing wallpaper. I worked in a florist shop, putting flowers together. To me, that was still, it all still some type of design.
In my mind, you're always someone who's always been very fashionable as well. Like, there's a level that I can always attribute that where someone who likes the idea of style and styling things, whether it's an outfit or it is a place like a room.
She gives me that same compliment too.
No, I do not. Maybe the opposite. No, I'm just kidding. But so it's, as someone, as an investor, a lot of people think, oh, you must, love styling houses. I was like, I couldn't tell you the first freaking thing. I got fired from picking out the colors in houses. And like, I one time brought the stuff out to stage, like the stuff to stage it. And the agent at the time was like, girl, put that back in. That will hurt the value of the house. I don't have that bone in my body.
Yeah.
And I'm just, I think I may have told you this before, but like, I'm like, even with like, I'm glad they let me out of the house with what the outfits I pick for myself sometimes. Right. But you've always had that touch as long as I've known you. And so I can see it being pretty cool for what you do. And so interior design, like what does that look like for you?
It's a lot of things, honestly. I mean, I get text messages all the time, like, here's a picture of my living room. Tell me what I can do with it. And in 2 seconds, I don't know where I get it from in my head and how it works like that, but I could literally send you back something right away and tell you exactly what needs to happen and change. And they'll be like, how did you just do that?
Yeah.
So I don't really quite know, but I mean, even with event planning, I feel like it all goes together. So if you can design and decorate, you can throw an amazing party.
Yeah.
You might just need the leverage for all the other moving parts if you don't have it.
Yeah.
But they just all go together. So decorating, fashion, events.
I will say I am picking a wedding planner right now, and my fear was that some of them were just going to be good at decorating, but they weren't good at logistics. And one of them showed themselves when we scheduled a whole bunch of appointments with wedding planners to interview them, and one of them forgot about us and didn't show. So like, hey, I'm so sorry, I was just juggling a lot with the holidays. And I was like, well, you're going to be juggling a lot with our wedding day. I'm like, things but no things, right?
Yeah, you got to be able to juggle
the logistics part.
The logistic part.
For sure. But nonetheless, I literally just went through that.
And if you can't do it, we all know you got to get some leverage.
For sure.
Absolutely.
So how do you tie that into your real estate career? So, I mean, again, 12 years ago, you say you got into the real estate business. How was your first start, and how do you implement all this stuff into your business?
I had a 5-year plan. I went to Bold my first year, and probably within my first 3 months. And for those that don't know, it's an awesome real estate class.
But it's open. It's
open to any industry, which is great. But it teaches you to have a 5-year plan, which I had no idea what I was doing. But so my 5-year plan was I wanted to be a one-stop shop. So I wanted to be a builder, a stager, a real estate agent. If I couldn't find you a house, I would build you a house. Nice. That kind of thing. But it was all wrapped around interior design. I was new to the North Shore. I didn't really come from any jobs that had like a clientele or a database. So I was like, I can't just start off doing design because I don't know anybody.
Yeah.
And no one knows me.
And nobody knows me. I was like, so if I can get a name and a brand through real estate, then eventually I can be all of the things. So, and that was right after building my own house and GCing it out in Windermere. So that's kind of when I really was like, I can do this. You know, drew it on a napkin, built it in 4 months, and you know, so. But yeah, that's kind of where it all started. And then real estate, my first year, I sold 24 deals as a solo agent. Decided to start my
Your
team
first year?
for
And
some
12
leverage.
years ago, that's 2012. That's when the market was tough still.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say what 2008 was like, but
2012, there
2012
was
was
still
still-
reverberations of it because, that's my, I can't speak from experience.
it was a great first year, and it's crazy because it wasn't even my goal to do that many deals. I didn't even have to work at the time. I was just a stay-at-home mom. I did it because I was bored. You know, like I just wanted something else. And after finishing the house, I was like, okay, why not? Let's just do it. It's a perfect time. And I told myself the whole first year, the only thing I was going to do is learn how to be a realtor. I was going to go to every class and every training that I could go to. I didn't care if I didn't sell one house that year. And I sold 24. And I went to probably 6 months of training that year.
I think that mindset about like, I'm just going to, number one, focus on this one thing and take every class that I can. Like that, I love that because I'm a firm believer that when you get the right education and the right, basically, not like YouTube University, we can learn about 1,000 things in 10 minutes, you know, but like a lot of education on one topic can really accelerate your growth. And it's, obvious, like 24 deals, is
I
very
knew I
impressive.
was coming into a market that had so many seasoned agents, you know, the Stevie Macks, the Jennifer Rices, like all those names that like everybody knew. You know, I remember getting into real estate and Kim Higgins was a thing back then. And I thought she owned KW. Like I thought she was KW. Like little did I know that she was just an agent. She wasn't even with KW. But yeah, like just immersing myself to learn as much so where I could compete. Because I didn't want to be like, oh, I'm a brand new agent and I don't know nothing.
Yeah. As an agent, where were you learning?
All the stuff that KW had. I mean, I would travel out of state. And I mean, that's also how I built my network of referral agents. And so
Yeah, because you do a ton of
referrals.
So so when you decided to take the step and invest in a team, did you follow the MREA?
I did.
Yeah.
I did follow the MREA. That's a great book. I can't say I've read it multiple times, like some people from start to finish, but the pieces and parts that I needed, I definitely invested in that book. The book was great. It helped me a lot, especially I was still a new agent 1 year in. I didn't know nothing about nothing. But the biggest my team has ever been in was like 7 of us, I believe. And now it's just me and marketing and admin, which is great.
I think it's fun working with people who are visionaries that have that type of mindset. They have their hands in a couple of different things, but they also have the humility to know that they need support, people on their team, so that they can, if they have an issue that comes up, they've got systems around them that help their business continue to grow while they're focusing on solving a problem.
Well, you have the common visionary threat is they have their hands in too many things and it sinks them. And so like
I was just gonna say, like, that's a thing too. The book, The One Thing, is great, and like everybody should really have a one thing. And so in my head though, design is my one thing, and I just find a way to put it all together to where I can still get away with doing it as my one thing. But
I love that you say design is your one thing because, and through that, was there a process to come to deciding what your one thing was?
I don't think I really knew it until now, honestly.
Like, what do you mean by that?
I mean, I've always had like a why since getting into real estate, because they teach you to have a big why or a reason, and like I never really had that.
Yeah.
So through all the exercises and journaling and everything that they teach you to do, like my main thing was to just get my husband out the oil refineries, because I was tired of being the wife that was home and hardly got to see him because he traveled so much, which is why we got the RV and I started traveling with him and all that, which was great because we got to travel the world, but he was working 120 hours a week and I was home. So my why was always to get him out of that.
Yeah.
like that, whatever opportunities I could help create through the people that I met and stuff. And so the subdivision was the biggest thing, like that got us out, and it got him doing something that he was good at and he loved to do, is project managing. That's what he did in the refineries. So it just kind of all came full circle. And now design is the easiest way for me to put my finger on it, because a subdivision is design, event planning is design, interior decorating is a design, selling houses is a design. Like, it all just kind of goes together.
Yeah.
Yeah. And have you ever heard of the 7 levels?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was actually just going through this the other day with someone, is just the 7 levels of your why. If you don't have a big why and a definitive why, it can be hard to make it through the difficult days.
Well, now I need a new one, because I got him out of them. I mean, we're out of them and we're doing other things.
Keep them out of it. But I think that it's interesting that, sometimes you talk about real estate investing, people will start out with property management, or they'll start out with wholesaling, and they'll kind of whittle their way into investing in real estate, because you learn a little bit about the game if you do it that way, and you have some income coming in while you're doing it. And I think from what you're telling me, you've maybe accomplished what you had accomplished, but you have to continue to move forward in order for that to stay your reality. And so, you have the income stream, the income from your real estate business that you have, but then you have the other business you're trying to get moving, which is the staging company, and then you have the investments that are those bigger pops that you get throughout your career. So, but from a staging standpoint, I know that you're kind of early on with that business. You just started it recently. Whenever you finished your flip. So, how's that growing? Like, what's the plan for that company, and how are you leveraging that with your real estate business? Are you telling your clients that you're working with that, hey, I can help you with this aspect of it? Or you're totally marketing that separate from your real estate company?
Both. I am telling my clients, and I'm marketing it separately. And I don't do the typical staging where, like,
if you moving the U-Haul of stuff around.
Yeah, like, I don't rent the stuff for you and bring it in and all that. I work with what you got, or I tell you what to go get. But like, I'm not a moving company. To me, with a staging company, that's what I would have to be. And I just feel like I can do better than that.
Yeah.
I think that's huge, because so many people, they fear that the big cost with staging is like, I have to go buy all these things.
Yeah, no, I can repurpose stuff. I'll tell you how to repurpose stuff. We can paint it. We can move it. We can do so many things that you don't have to go buy something.
Hell, I'm just laughing in my head because when the cleaners come and clean my house, sometimes I'm like, hey, this room looks different. Oh, it's because it's not cluttered. Like, or like whatever.
I mean, sometimes just moving one picture from one spot to the next is going to totally transform the space.
Yeah, and I think that stuff's, huge, which, I mean, you were talking about earlier about working with like estates and successions and, these probate situations where, I mean, some of those are, you're trying to do as much as you can for the estate, but working with what you have.
Yeah.
And maybe you have it where you're working with a whole bunch of old crusty stuff. I'm trying to be nice here. But you're like, okay, but how can I put this forth in the best light?
Yeah.
Well, you know what? We're going to go from this is old and crusty to, well, we're now going vintage chic. And like, how can I
I think a lot of people get lost in interior design because they think that they have to have like this $5,000 chair or this $400 plant or whatever. Like, I can literally take you to Dollar General and transform your house if that's what your budget allows.
Yeah.
Right.
So
it's your eye. It's not your pocketbook.
Yeah.
And I think that's huge. And that's one of those things where it's kind of like it's not that either you have it or you don't have it. I think some of it can be learned as well.
Yeah, for sure.
But there's for sure a strong you have it as well though. But I mean, yeah, you can and that's where your eye, when you walk in, you can see some things. I think that's huge because a lot of times, people are not going to be, it's very commonly they're not going to see it themselves. And if you can help draw them into that.
And times are hard right now. Everything's expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think people are intimidated about doing something with their house. But it ties into real estate because it's like, if you do need to sell your house and your money's tight and you don't have all this money to like hire an interior decorator to buy all these new things, like, I mean, I can work within the smallest budget whatsoever, and get you.
Well, and I think that's huge because I can't tell you how many houses if you don't put your best foot forward with the house, especially in this market where there's starting to be more inventory, it's more of a buyer's market, more inventory to choose from.
Yeah, it's stacking up.
I mean, on the investor side.
Good thing, right?
Depends on if you're the seller or the buyer.
Depends on if
who
you're
representing.
Well, but at the end of the day, though, it's like So in the investor world, when the market was really great, it was a really strong seller's market, the 2021 type market, interest rates are low, multiple offers, all this stuff. I mean, you can put a piece of crap out there and that thing was going to sell.
Yeah, it didn't matter how cluttered or dirty or whatever the house looked
all
like.
that stuff, but
people could see
now-
past it.
So I myself am not a big flipper, but I talk to a lot of my flipper friends, right? And so a lot of my flipper friends are like, you have to have the best product at a competitive rate right now. And a huge part of that, how do you put your foot forward, right, with it? And so, so many people don't think about those aspects. They're just, again, they're either stuck in la la land of a previous day where just put it up for sale. They're not thinking, let me put my best foot forward. And I can see that being a strong point of yours when working with clients of being like, hey, look, when I list your house, these are the things I'm looking at. Because then you get the agent who either respectfully or disrespectfully is going to be like, let me just take some photos with my cell phone and oops, this one's blurry or upside down, or, and it's like, or they're not really highlighting the house. And so they're missing
Oh, yeah.
a lot.
Well, and going into photography, since you brought it up, I mean, you also have to have the best doing it on the phone that's not going to work because the angle of the room is just as important as what is in the room. So you can
Or
have
the lighting of it.
the
Yeah.
same, like 3 different photographers take a picture of the same room. And if they're not in the right angle, it ain't going to look good.
Yeah.
And
Doesn't
y'all
matter
all
the
know
cost
who
of
I
the
use.
furniture.
I told them I'd give him a shout out. So Ken, we love you, Ken Schallenberg. But I've been using him for 12 years
Yeah, Ken's great.
on all my properties. And I mean, looking at before and afters, from different photographers is just crazy.
Ken's great. He also makes your headshot look really good too.
Yeah.
As the industry shifts throughout, the last 12
markets
years.
contracts too.
Yeah. So what? How have you kind of shifted and managed your team around the industry and how it's changed over the last couple of years?
So a lot of my initial big growth was because I did the traveling, right? And so I needed a big team
A lot of support.
to support the leverage of the lifestyle that I wanted to live, life by design, right? So I didn't get into real estate to work 24/7, but we all know that is kind of what it's expected.
Yeah.
So I learned through the MREA about leverage and what each role did. And so I knew that I needed so many people for admin. I needed a buyer's agent. I needed listing agent if I wasn't going to be here. I needed somebody to run the office, that kind of stuff. And so as I just started putting it all together and finally got it where I wanted, I had a 7th level team and I knew I could be in Mexico still closing deals.
Yeah.
And so it helped me see you can put the pieces in and take them out as you needed them.
Yeah, sure.
And so then when I came back home, I realized I didn't need all that. And then the market changed, again. So
Yeah.
I just kind of, again, picked and chose what I needed.
Yeah.
And I think it's smart to also pay attention to what you need, and then what the market is doing. Because some people, they think, oh, let me go leverage and let me go build, and it's almost like indefinite. Like I'm always looking for my next person to add to my team. I'm always looking for, I want to have the biggest team around. And some people will sink from that, right?
Yeah.
Because they don't have the discipline to say, well, this is maybe not the best thing to have right now, or to pull back, or to be smart about it. And so tell me, how long, when you talk about lifestyle by design, I love it. Because I too am not wanting to a lot of people are like, hey, you as an investor, why don't you go get your real estate license? I'm like, I see what y'all do, and I don't want to wear that damn hat. Because I care about that lifestyle part. How long did it take for you to build in to where you were able to do more of the lifestyle by design part? How long did it take for you kind of establish your business to where you felt comfortable, or that you could start seeing the fruits of that lifestyle design that you wanted to see?
So 2012 is when end of 2012 is when I got in. So I did a full year before I started a team. But by 2015, I was living out of the country for 17 months and still running my team. And up until 2 years ago, that was my best year ever. And I wasn't even here. So it didn't take long. But I feel that all of the training that I went through helped me prepare for that life by design, because other than that, I didn't even know what that even meant. And then you say building the bench. That's so important, right? Is to always be building a bench, but it doesn't mean that I'm always going to fill my bench.
Yeah, for sure.
Like right now, I mean, I have people that want to be on my team, but like I don't want that right now. You know, like, it's not the life that I'm living. And right now I have the design and the staging and real estate and investing and my life,
Well,
grandbabies.
On my drive over here, I was listening to some stuff about AI because I'm like, okay, I personally used to have a team as well, very, very large team, and I pulled back. That was supporting my all my investing stuff, right? And I pulled back, and yeah, I scaled with some partners and stuff, but like, I'm continuing to do a certain level of business that I need support of some degree. And I don't like the idea of a ton of overhead, right? And so, but I like the idea of AI, right? Because it's something where it's like, it's a tool that I can use to kind of leverage, but kind of go from there. So right now you've kind of, scaled down and you're to where, but you're also still growing with the businesses.
Let's talk about systems then. And so when it comes to the real estate team you have, and hopefully this is help you recruit a buyer's agent whenever the market gets right. So how do you hold your team accountable whenever you bring on a new agent on the team?
Hold my team accountable, like hold that person accountable. So typically we would have weekly team meetings. Every day we would have like a 411 where, we talk about what our top rocks are going to be for the day. That was something that we were consistent with doing. And then every week we would have like what we call a cash talk to talk about last week, see what you could improve on, not improve on. I do have better systems in place. I mean, when I started a team, I didn't have nothing. I feel like I've learned so much.
You're more developed as an agent, as a business owner, and as a leader than when you first started.
Yeah.
I think the 411's great. I mean, we do something similar to that. And, who taught you the 411? Bold did? Yeah, Dawn Dawn, I know she was part of the whole Bold whenever you came in.
Yeah, she was my productivity coach when I first started.
So she kind of taught me the 411 mindset. We don't use 411, but the same idea. It's like you create your annual rocks, your quarterly rocks, and your
use
to-dos.
EOS.
You have
It's
to
very
do it.
similar.
Yeah, we have a different operating system that we follow. But I think the key that anybody who's listening to this should know, if you ever want to be on a real estate team, I get the question all the time. Should I join this team? Should I join this brokerage? And my statement to them is, you have to know what you need in order for me to tell you whether this is going to be a good fit for you.
Yeah.
And so, but then on the flip side of that, agents always want to have a team. They want to grow. Like they always see the idea of the 7-level team like in Keller Williams, and they're not all as self-aware as you are about different seasons of life. They always want to be growing. But one of the biggest mistakes they have is they don't have a system at all, right? They don't have a system at all. And the fact that you just named 3 meetings you have and you follow the 411 means that if an agent joins your team, they're going to have somebody who's going to support them and hold them accountable and not just give them some ideas and some thoughts and then, give them leverage or whatever they want to say they give them and not actually holding them accountable to the system that they put in place.
I mean, I think accountability is huge for a team, and some people need to be micromanaged and some people don't. And I'm the biggest person to tell you, I'm not going to micromanage you.
Yeah.
We're all big boys and big girls, and we all know that we have to put food on the table for our families. So I will give you all the tools that you need to be successful, and I will help and coach and teach and inspire and lead is 10 ways to, 100. But like, I'm not going to hold your hand and micromanage you.
Yeah.
And I think
So
it's
if you,
important.
and that every team is different. There is teams that will micromanage and they're way more self-disciplined. That's not, if that's what you want, I'm not the team for you.
And I think that self-awareness is huge because you can't be all things to all people.
Yeah. And I had to learn that the hard way. No lie, y'all. I mean, I've had a lot of people on my team over the years.
I've had a lot of trial and error myself too. It's like where I thought this was the right, I was like,
Yeah.
When it comes to setting goals, if you have your team goals. If an agent was coming on your team, and are you the type of leader that would want to give them their goal and help, and then tell them how they're going to fit in, or are you saying, hey, what are your goals? Do they kind of align with mine? Now you can kind of have a parallel track to mine. I'll give you some of my leverage so that you can get there.
So I've done it both ways, and I think what I've learned is their goal might not be the same as you. Like they might not want to do 50 deals a year or gross $1 million and all these crazy things that some of us mega leaders want to do. And you got to be okay with that because if their sweet spot is, I only need $30,000 or $50,000 or whatever, like if you can fit that in your world, fit it in. But if not, then that's not the right person.
And that goes back to knowing your ideal, like who's the ideal people to surround yourself with, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's the referral partners, whether it's the people you bring on your team, whether it's your ideal client, whether it's whatever. I think it goes back to having that clarity actually helps you.
I've always been a quality versus quantity type of girl. So I would rather have 30 amazing clients and amazing deals than 100 shit shows. Can I say that on here?
Yeah,
Okay.
you're good.
So, and honestly, like the more deals you have, the harder ones come out, right? So I just had 12 pending last month at one time, and I was like, oh, now I remember why I had so much leverage, because the more deals you have pending, like the more bad deals you're gonna see, right? Like when
Well,
you just have one or two here or there, a bad one don't seem like a bad one. It's just kind of like, okay. But
Well, but at the same time though too, you run more of the risk of like, if you don't have the systems, you're like, can something fall through the cracks?
Yeah.
What might happen. It's kind of like when you if we would put a lot of weight on this table here, the more weight we put at some point, you might find the weakness point, right?
Yeah.
And what we don't want is whenever basically you take on, for example, you go from, this to that, as far as you're like, oh, okay, having 12 listings or whatever it was, 12 deals you're working. You're like, okay, now I remember this is all the support that volume needs. And it's kind of like there's different devils for different levels, right? Like there's different challenges for different levels. And I've seen that myself.
yeah, if you don't have the right support system and leverage, like you'll drown at 12 deals. Really, you'll drown at 6. Like 6 is when it really starts tipping.
Well, and that's why it's also important though too when it comes to the team, if your support, like that support has to help based on people's goals, because if someone's goal is to have 50 deals, well, that support's going to look different than someone who wants to do 5 deals for the year. What's one of your focuses for 2025?
Selling my flip.
So that is a great segue. So I love to talk about tough deals. So let's talk about this one. Give us the backstory.
Backstory. Okay, so in 24, 22. In 22, I had a listing that I thought was a amazing listing in rural Covington on 5 acres. It was a referral. I could do a lot of out-of-town referrals from my agents, and it was a listing I couldn't sell, but we had it on the market for about 6 months. But as soon as I took the listing, I saw potential. This was a house.
Because your eyes are trained. Yeah.
I'm always like, oh, should I buy this? Should I buy this? And Gillis hates that. But so it was one of those houses that was built in the 80s, and it was a tiny house. And then they decided 2 years later to do an addition, and then the next year to do another addition and another addition. So it's like
Very blocky.
nothing
like
made
choppy.
sense.
Yeah.
And it was like a maze to get through it. Tiny little doorways. I believe when I counted, it had about 50 something doors and like 40 windows. And so, and when I say that, I mean, some of them were double, but still, I mean, it's a lot of doors. And so, like, I just instantly was like, okay, I know what walls need to come down, what we need to do to sell this house. Well, 6 months, nothing.
When it sat on the market, what was the biggest feedback?
The floor plan.
Yeah. And that's something that it's like, you can't change that. Like the average Joe, like for example, you can give like an allowance for painting or flooring, and that's pretty easy. Just go like, fix that. The average Joe is not going to tear down walls. HGTV kind of has influenced a little bit. They probably shouldn't be taking down walls if they don't actually know what they're doing. But the average Joe is going to be too scared to be like, that's a little too much to bite off and take that allowance to kind of like, do it
And
themselves.
I ain't gonna lie, like, at first I was like, oh, it'll be nothing. And like, we just take down these 2 or these 3, but like, structurally, it don't work like that. Like, you can't just say, well, I'm going to take down this wall. Like you have to really know, like, okay, when I take that down, what other one am I putting up or what am I putting in place? Like all those things.
If this and that.
Yeah. For the last 3 months of having that listing, I begged my husband to buy this house. And he's always like, oh, once we back off commission and blah, blah, like, do the numbers work? Do the numbers work? Well, obviously we're doing price reduction after price reduction, trying to make it work for my client. But I was in the background with my floor plan and my iPad.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out how I can make this house work. Yeah. And finally, after 3 months of figuring it out, I was like, we got it.
Yeah.
I mean, I met with my framer and my inspectors at the house while it was still in the market, trying to figure out if we can make this work.
Yeah.
And finally, pain versus pleasure, my client needed to go, and the timing was right. And so we bought it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been to the house several times, and it's very impressive what you've done with the house.
You want to buy it? It's for sale.
Not yet. Not the right time for me. But the way that you were able to see the vision beyond what you do with the house. I mean, I remember walking in there and just being so blown away by the fact that the way you moved walls and the key elements of the house to make it work, and building that little apartment upstairs for somebody who needs it in the front of the house, and just the piece of property that it's on is incredible. So, did you have any formal training when it came to that stuff, or you just have the knack for it?
I had no training, and honestly, we've only flipped one other house. In that one, we didn't have to take walls down, just like some fur downs and half of walls, and stuff like that. Nothing major. And that one came out beautiful too. But this, I don't even know. I still am in awe sometimes when I look back at it, or I'm like, this was a stairwell, and there's no stairs right here.
Yeah.
Like little things like that. My framer was like, there's no way you can turn this into what you're trying to do. Or my husband, no way. The structural engineer, like, seriously, this is what you want to do? And I mean, I got to do every single thing I wanted to do and then some. So that was a perfect segue for me to be like, I'm doing my interior design business because this is the biggest portfolio that I could have to start off the gate with.
Let's talk a little bit about, you've done a couple flips, and you've also got into some development too. So, and these are all not typical things that most real estate agents deal with. So be able to see a vision and have a plan has been impressive. So how do you get inspired, and what is your investment plan for going forward? You find opportunities, or do you have like the type of investment you want to get into? You've done flips, you've done decorating, you've done development. Which one of those are your favorite?
My favorite is still going to be anything related with design, right? Because that is kind of what's fueling my passion. But developing was way easier and more profitable. But I mean, I do know that there is some risk with that, and we did face some of those risks. But it's still not as much of a risk as the money that you got to put into a flip.
Yeah, like I think a lot of people, when it comes, I mean, land development. So creating the subdivision, selling off the lots. By the way, pretty cool to have that be like, hey, we have this named after us, right?
Yeah, I wish I
like
lived
a legacy
in
play.
it,
Right? And then, the houses that you've improved, right? This one, you guys have been able to, you put it up for sale. And then let's go back to what made so you completely changed the nature of this house, right? So to where the number one objection was floor plan. And then you went ahead, you listed it for sale. And then let's finish out to what's made it difficult.
So we put it on the market in January of this year.
Of 24,
24. And we're still on the market, and it's December of 24, almost January of 25. We knew luxury homes were going to, obviously, they normally always take a long time to sell unless you're lucky. But I never expected this from that one, but I feel like we entered the market at a bad time. So this was right when insurance was going through the roof. I remember getting my first quote on it, and was like $20,000 for a year of insurance. And I was like, this can't happen. So
was that, and like, did you guys do fortified roof, or did y'all do?
We didn't do a fortified roof because the roof was only 1 year old whenever we got it. So that was the one thing we didn't have to change in the house was the roof.
Yeah. Geez, but nonetheless, I mean, like, and that's the whole thing though too, is that the market does play a role. Talking about like when you had your team was big and then it's come down now, like different things. Something can be great on paper, but it's got to go. The market has to bear the market, and the market has a say in it, right?
Yeah.
And so, but you have, been able to pivot. Some people, I mean, one of the number one phone calls I'm getting right now is like investor rescue ones, where it's, they're trying to, I've had some people who they've had flips and it's not selling, but they had a short-term loan on it, or they've had, one of the big ones is they did the BRRRR method, where they'd buy it, they'd renovate it, they'd put a tenant in it, and they'd go to refinance. But then now the interest rates are too high, and the numbers don't work, and so they're struggling, right? All these different insurance, all the different factors that's causing deals to not go according to plan. Even I'm not immune to deals not going according to plan, and so, but it's those who are able to like take a look at it, pivot, and say, what can I do to keep moving forward? Basically, to keep swimming.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, So getting that quote for 20 grand, that was like a slap in the face, honestly. Like we had no idea because whenever we bought it, they were only paying like 4 or 5,000 for it. So, I mean, we knew it was going to go up because the value went up, but 20.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the pivot was at that point was to just pay quarterly for right now and requote it. And so we did, and we keep requoting it, and now we're down to 8, thank God.
Oh wow. Okay. It's much better.
So that was a pivot there. Another thing that sucks about it is we're in limbo now, right? Because we have all our eggs in one basket, basically. We're blessed because we don't have a mortgage, but at the same time, we have all of our benefits and profits and everything that we got from doing the subdivision into this. And so we have all these great ideas of what the next step is and what the next business venture is going to be or the next opportunity.
Yeah.
But we can't jump on any of it until this is gone.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
and part of that is like, okay, so you guys were able to take, so you guys were doing this subdivision, and then but you took the profits from that and put it into this flip to basically handle the timeline, right? I think that is important though to point out that like you basically when one thing didn't work, you said, okay, what else do I have on the table? And you actually had something else on the table that was profitable and liquid, basically.
Thank God.
Imagine
That house
if
would
you
look a
didn't.
whole lot different if not.
Imagine if you didn't, right? And how many agents don't have anything, right? Like if they've struggled because it's like, well, if I don't, basically they're living commission to commission, right? And so that's kudos to you for being able to say, hey, I have these other things going, that you were able to tap into that. I mean, I think that's a huge thing. I can't tell you how many times when I look at something, I'm like, okay, well, let me zoom out and say, what else do I have on the table? Who else do I know? What else could I come into play here?
And I'll say, going back to the team thing real quick, is, I mean, I renovated this house for 385 days, and I was on site 385 days for 12 plus hours a day, me and my husband. And so, and at the same time, I was still running a real estate business, and I still had clients that needed me. I still managed to close 40 deals that year, which is
huge.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But without admin support, transactional support, marketing support, and a buyer's agent, I couldn't have done it.
Heck yeah. That's,
Yeah.
You know, so yes, I still went on appointments and still did my thing, but like having the leverage for all of that allowed
Yeah.
me to be able to do everything I needed to do.
I love talking about difficult deals, but one of my favorite things to talk about is marketing. And I think that you do a great job of marketing yourself in a lot of different ways. Most real estate agents, or a lot of them, kind of pigeonhole themselves into one aspect of marketing. And so you've obviously branded yourself. Like you see teal, you think of Jamie Mixon, right? I mean, you just have. And I think that it's a great thing. You've really done a great job with that. But following the MRA model and then having a social media plan and maybe the relationship side, again, I think you touch on all of them. But let's just talk about marketing in general. What's your favorite way to generate business for whatever business you have?
I mean, I'm still old school. I'm still Facebook, which I'm hacked out right now, if anybody's wondering where I'm at. Got hacked on Christmas Eve, third time in a year and a half. But I'm normally very successful in beating them and getting them back. I have not had to, knock on wood, delete and restart. So I pray I don't have to do that because it is a thing that I love to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I feel like people just want to see the real you. They want to see what you're doing, what you
Yeah.
love, and they also don't mind seeing your work.
You're talking about social media, right? Yeah, I mean, I think the one of the biggest things people miss on social media is that they want to appeal to everybody. When the reality is, if you talk about being genuine and do true self, the point of it, in my opinion, is to attract the right people to you.
Yeah.
If you are honest with yourself, you're genuine, and you put your true self forward, you're going to have people come to you that are going to be that align with you, either value wise, experience wise, or they're going to like what you're putting out there. And so, social media is a huge part of business, and I think globally people are acknowledging that, but I think locally people are still scared of it, and they don't know what to do or say or how to do it, or think it's expensive. But the reality of it is, you figured out a way to make it very efficient. And so, tell us about how you implement the systems of your social media marketing.
So now I have leverage.
Yeah.
So I have a virtual assistant that is a rock star, and he's in the Philippines. He's been with me for almost 2 years now. And I ain't gonna lie, I was scared because number one, I was doing all of my social media before that, just a control freak and just wanting to like have it all. But I also realized that I needed leverage if I wanted to do all these other things. And so it took me a while to finally get over like getting a VA. Everybody was like, oh, you got to have one. They're great. They're great. They're great. And I'm like, but how is this person going to know how to be me,
Yeah.
you know? And he is killing it.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people think that I'm on social media all day long, and I'm really not. You can tell when it's me because then it gets a little more personal versus just the normal. But he has learned how to integrate my colors that I love, my Jeep that I love, my family that I love, my dogs, you know, like it's amazing.
Yeah. How did you go about finding him?
Keller Williams.
Yeah. Okay.
They have a company called Cyberbacker that a KW agent started. And
they provide VAs.
yeah.
So when you're utilizing a VA, you're providing them with content, right? So you did your photo shoots, you did all that stuff. You provide them with the content that you want and kind of the plan. And it takes a little bit of time, I'm sure, but after a while, he kind of learns what you want, and then they just kind of post it for you.
Yeah, he'll send it to me. Do you approve this? Do you approve that? I'm like, you might have a hashtag wrong or the city wrong, but it's okay. Like, yeah. Other
You
than
make
that,
little
it's
edits and oversights, yeah.
So that gives you more time to focus on the other stuff. All right. So when it comes to the marketing that you do from a relationship standpoint, a lot of times when I refer to relationships, I'm thinking about kind of the ninja selling mentality about how you continue to stay in touch with your sphere and all that type of stuff. But before we get into that, the relationships that you have with your referral partners, that's both giving and receiving referrals, right? So how do you manage that type of a relationship?
So we basically get together at any kind of convention or class, like out of state, out of city. We also have, group texts and group Facebook chats and all these things that we communicating daily, multiple times a day. Like sometimes I got to turn it off because I'm like, are y'all selling real estate? What are y'all doing? Like we have a chit chat one. We have so many different ones.
And so are all these people a referral network you've created to where there's like one person in a bunch of different cities that you connect with? Okay. Very cool.
So I basically have one person that I refer business to in almost every state. And then within certain cities or, quadrants of the state.
And I think that's also a huge part with social media is staying top of mind with those people too.
Yeah.
And
it's awesome because your listing, if you put a house on the market with me, is now getting also seen and shared by all those people because that's how we support each other.
Yeah.
So we'll have like featured listing of the month, even though, she's in California and I'm here. She's posted my luxury listing, to California agents buyers and sellers.
Is there one person that kind of is the ringleader within who is that? Is that you?
No.
I don't want
that.
she said no.
Yeah. How'd you get acclimated into the group? How'd you get brought in?
It just kind of happens organically and slowly, like just from going to things. So like, one person takes you under their wing and then, they start introducing you to all their friends and all their people. And then if they like you and they like the way you do business and they want to trust their business with you, then it just kind of grows from that.
Because that's a huge part of referrals, especially in the real estate agent world. It's like not all agents are created equal and they want to make sure if they refer someone.
Yeah, because that was my next thing. How do you know that the people in the group are the type of people that you want to be doing business with?
Right. And so that's where you have to invest a little bit more time in those people and do things outside of just calling them and saying, hey, I have a referral for you. So I'm in one of my groups right now that I'm in. There's about 50 something of us, and I'm new to this particular group. But some of those people within that group I've been with for years, right? And so they had been trying to get me into the group. But I just still wasn't comfortable because I didn't know enough of them to feel like I only wanted to use them in San Diego.
Yeah.
So it took me going to events and still doing things with their group, even though I wasn't officially in their group, to really make sure that these were the people that I wanted to do business with and that I wanted to send. If you said, Jamie, I'm moving to San Diego, who you got? I got somebody that I know I can trust.
Yeah.
And so, I've been in it now for that particular group for about 8 months now.
Talk about a life by design. I can imagine having a really good business excuse to go travel to San Diego now to go visit somebody that you might be referring business
to.
And
they do so many things outside of, real estate conventions together. I mean, they just came back from a big trip in Colorado, which I wasn't able to go because this house has got me locked down right now. But they get together and just hang out and mastermind and do all the things that like-minded people and so much comes out of that. Y'all know about being in the right place and the right conversation is just an open door for opportunity.
So I go to conferences all over for in the investing world. It has grown I go to 6 to 10 of them a year. So, and one of my friends said it right. He said, man, if my family broke down in just about any part of the U.S., I could call someone up and say, hey, do you mind going and help them?
Yeah.
Or if it was me, broke
That's
down, right?
exactly what happened with these hurricanes and like evacuating. Like they're all like, "Hey, I got a house. Hey, if you need this, I got that." Like they're more than just a bunch of realtors. Like they are literally
they're
your
allies,
family.
they're friends, and I think that's a step where, the majority, all of my business is referral or repeat business. So, so much of business comes from people being like, "Hey, I like how you do business." They want to send people my way, right?
Yep.
Huge. But the thing is got to get beyond being transactional, right? And you've got to get to know these people. Going and doing things with them is, I mean, huge. Where people feel comfortable enough saying, "I feel comfortable tying my name to you."
Yeah.
Well, I literally, an agent had brought me a pocket listing that was a difficult situation, a property that just failed to sell on the market. They're now like, "Hey, we're 2 months behind. What are we going to do?" And I went here we go, 2 days ago, so the day before Christmas Eve, and we're sitting down and in their living room talking with them, and he's like, he at the very end he said, "If my family member was in trouble, I would tell them go talk to Courtney." And I just looked at him, I said, "Bro, hit me in the feels there, because that's a big compliment." And it's not so easy tying your name to other people, and so to have a strong referral based business, honestly, speaks highly especially when people want to send, buying and selling a house is a big deal, and so people wanting to send business to, I mean, that's huge.
Yeah, so I want to just get a perspective, like your referral based part of your business, like how lucrative is that for you? How many deals are you doing a year within your referral network?
At least 75% of my business comes
a
from
large portion of
referrals, whether it's from my referral agents or past clients, friends, and family.
Okay, so the perfect transition, because I get so passionate about real estate agents who tell me that they have a database of thousands and thousands of people. Makes no sense to me, right? In my mind, if you're going to have a database, it should be of your past clients, people that you can actually speak to and have a conversation with. So if you don't agree with that, I'd love to hear why, but just from a relationship standpoint, I know we talked about your referral basis, but how are you staying in touch with your past clients?
I mean, I call and text my past clients like I do my friends.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, yesterday and the day before yesterday and today, I mean, my phone is full of me calling and wishing Merry Christmas to all my clients and past clients.
Yeah.
I think that is huge. Now that the market has kind of shifted as much as it has since COVID, I don't do as many like what we call pop buys, where I used to, monthly go drop something off on their door or their mailbox and all that stuff, just cutting the fat. I've had to make some expense cuts on those kind of things, but that they just want to hear from you, so just a simple Merry Christmas or how's the new house or I'm in your neighborhood, like just thought of you, wanted to say hi, those kind of things are huge.
Yeah, I think a lot of people overthink the whole idea of staying in touch with your past clients. I mean, you just consistently be nice and add value to people, and sometimes adding value is just being nice. Sometimes adding value is presenting them with some more information about their house or buying them lunch or giving them a gift. But it's the bar is lower than people think it is when it comes to staying in touch with your past clients.
It's crazy because I do have, you said about a database. So I do have a big database. My database is probably almost 9,000 people in it. Some of those might be duplicates. I need to scrub it, of course. But I used to buy leads back when I was a new agent because I didn't know anybody. I didn't have any business. So like for the first 3 years, I was investing, small amounts of my money into like Zillow and Realtor.com and stuff like that. And so my database is kind of from that, but I haven't bought leads since 2015. So those people are still in there, and I organically every now and then send a campaign or, a text or something to them, just seeing. And sometimes I have luck, eventually somebody, decides to respond. I get a lot of unsubscribes, and that's okay too, because that's not where my bread and butter is. So that's just lanyard.
It's just like the social media mindset. Like you send an email out, you get some unsubscribes. That's not your person you want to be in touch with. Right. So it's good that the sooner that they leave, the less time you spend on them.
Well, and just because they unsubscribe don't necessarily mean that they're not going to use it. It means they just don't want to see those emails anymore.
I'm like, don't take it personal. I unsubscribe from people's shit all the time because I'm overwhelmed by my emails. And I just wish I had less.
I do take it personal because I'm a high I, but I'm also a high D, so I get it, and I don't want it as well. So, but I get my feelings hurt. I'm like, oh, they unsubscribed. I just closed the house with them. I thought they liked me, but then they left me a 5-star review. So, they just don't want to be bothered
so
with
to everyone
that.
I've unsubscribed from, I'm not, it's not personal. It's because I'm personally overwhelmed with my emails.
I just unsubscribed from Under Armour. I doubt they're
just send a text instead. Like whatever the email was going to say, just text them.